I mean, just first and foremost, more than $100,000. For people who've been in crypto for a long time, that must feel extremely vindicating.
It does, and thanks so much for having me this morning. It was fun to watch it go over six digits last evening and to see it continue to hold today.
When you think of the fun side on one, but also then the realities of what perhaps Paul Atkins could mean, dig in a little bit to the SEC announcement, what you made of it.
Yeah, absolutely. First off, leading up to this announcement, really all the names that were floated were positive. So we had that. We knew it was going to be better. So there was really no wrong answer. But in this choice, it's a great choice, quite simply. You have somebody who can hit the ground running. He has been a commissioner before. He knows how the commission works. And one really important factor that we're hearing about Paul Atkins is he gets along with people. All right. You can't underestimate how important that is. He needs to be able to work with the industry. He needs to be able to work with lawmakers. I've been at those hearings in Congress where it was antagonistic. Questions weren't being answered. Eyes were being rolled. And this was the environment in which crypto was trying to achieve regulatory clarity. And it just wasn't going to happen with that back and forth and the tension that was created in the Gensler era. So we are very much looking forward to a person who can come in, hit the ground running, work with the other commissioners, and hopefully also have a dialogue with the CFTC and with lawmakers. So in the new Congress, we can get some clarity, we can get some forward motion, stablecoin bill, market structure. So quite simply, this is an excellent choice, and he's another great add to the, you can't fault, regardless of your politics, you can't fault the economic team that is being put together by the transition team here.
Katherine, I want to just speak to the cynics out there. The people who are now like, oh, great, crypto's got a pro-crypto SEC chair, or all hell's going to break loose. We're going to see yet more fraudulent behavior that they believe goes on in the space. I want to ask you, because specifically, yes, you're in the ecosystem, but you're someone who comes from a federal prosecutor background. You're someone who's worked for U.S. Attorney General offices in California. So speak to that concern here that we're suddenly going to see rip-roaring in crypto with no holds barred.
Right, absolutely. You're going to have that approach. You're going to have the folks who are going to say, oh, great, there's going to be no regulation. But if you actually look, the folks in the industry, we aren't asking for no regulation. We're asking for clarity, for regulation, for not just enforcement actions. And I know we've heard that quite a bit. What does that really mean if you break it down? The enforcement actions are expensive. They're limited to the case in point. You don't get a broader rule that will help businesses who either haven't engaged with the industry or trying to engage in the correct way. So having been at the U.S. Attorney's Office before and having worked very closely with the SEC, the light doesn't flip overnight. It's not suddenly that all the cases are going to disappear into the ether. It's just that you're going to have a better dialogue, you're going to get collaboration, and you're going to have a more positive approach to how we get there. We're not getting rid of everything. We're just going to get there in a more collaborative fashion. And that's what you need.
What's interesting is we are seeing actually some of the crypto-related companies just turning to the downside a little bit. A lot of run-up into this announcement, so perhaps a bit of profit-taking going on, Katherine. But spell out exactly what some of the... You talk about certain laws and regulations that need to be put in place. We hear about stablecoins being tackled first and foremost. Is that the number one line on the agenda from the SEC? Where do you think the first rules are going to come?
Yeah, I think stablecoin legislation coming from Congress will probably be the first one out, just because it's a smaller, nichier piece. And there's been bipartisan support, so I think that's going to be the first mover. The market structure legislation I referred to will take a little longer, but it's more of a dialogue has to happen. That's the definition. That's who is going to be the regulator, depending on where these assets sit from a definitional standpoint along the spectrum. So that'll take a little longer, but we'll have some more forward motion on both of those fronts.
Is there any risk here? Could we see Paul Atkins not take the role, not be acknowledged for the role?
Well, there's always risk, but as I said, we're hopeful that that goes smoothly. I see no obstacles out there that should block it. However, as I mentioned earlier, There are a list of other folks, all of whom would be great choices. I'm really liking the Paul Atkins choice, given his involvement with the industry, his understanding, and quite frankly, as I said before, his demeanor and ability to collaborate and work with others, which is quite simply important in having a negotiated position with regard to some of this regulatory action.